got to understand that you have to be private. You dare to struggle, you dare to win. If you dare not to struggle, then goddamn you don't deserve to win. Then you just seem to you, you're willing to fight for it.
I said these politicians clowns, so let me reiterate it. Just being libs will never get us liberated. They killed the Panthers and the left got obliterated. Left us charged on rights and racist whites reinvigorated. Fed shot Fred and birthed more jiggers by targeting the scholars and marketing the dealers. Ay, their in-game got us marveling our killers. Support empire, not toppling the pillars. The stats show we only care about our figures. That ain't a threat, that's just a stat hole, nigga. Hey, that ain't a threat, that's just a stat quo, nigga. They weaponize our stars, it's just a fact. Four ninjas over there, billionaire to distract old niggas. Put a few of us in there to attract more niggas. Hey, they give them inclusion at our expense. They milking our chocolate, we think we rich. They give us some chips so we can brag. Hey, why they own the potatoes and keep the bag. Ay, now you stacking your Pringles and I ain't mad. Ay, gotta sell that black soul for Whitey's cachet.
We're not a racist organization because we understand that racism is just it's a byproduct of capitalism. Everything will be all right if everything was put back in the hands of people. We're gonna have to put it back in the hands.
My paper chasing pastor had me feeling like a hypocrite. The dollars can't compromise the change I'm trying to implement. I use the mic to keep Decepticons at bay with the same qualms as Noam Chomsky and Kwame Ture, hood socialists. With a new era beret, it's like they neuralize you. We just redo errors, it's crazy. They got new Elijahs, Xing out black messiahs today, trying to neutralize us, just COINTELPRO in a way. Hey, loyalty, it's rarely immune to pay. These coons come buffoon for the Klansmen that they obey. They discard us, disregard us, we take them back anyway. We easy prey, it's evident by the precedents that we lay. Well adjusted to injustice, our people in disarray. Feel the terror from mega ever scared to go disobey. We recite the words, they Shakespeare in the play. They Othello the ghetto, then go players to get their way. I'ma go ham, let the Claudius come my way. Yeah, I'm humble, but sometimes my haughtiness has a say. Yeah, they wanna keep us down, they don't really want more for us. They been shut us out, they won't open these doors for us.
The educational program, that's very important. Matter of fact, we so important for us that a person has to go through 6 weeks of our political education before he can consider himself a member of the party, able to even run out ideology for the party. Why? Because if they don't have the education, then they're nowhere. They will say, if they're not educated, they want more, and before you know it, they'll be captive, and before you know it, we have Negro imperialism.
I mix what I like, what I like. I mix what I like is exactly where you want and need to be. I mix what I like, organic, vegan, soul food from your immediate diet. Get healthy. Get healthy. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.
Yeah, what's up, world? Welcome to another edition of I Mix What I Like. I'm Jared Ball. Pleasure to be your host. Welcome, welcome, welcome as you all come on in to the remixers and everybody else who will see and hear this later. Welcome to you as well. Please do like, share, subscribe, support our Patreon. The link is in the show description. What's going on, everybody? I hope all is at least relatively well. All right. Little Vivir Me Vita, little Vivir Me Pocket remix. Peace, everybody. Big bro in the building. Greetings. Chitty Matcha. Rao's Pasta Sauce. Yo, shout out to the remixers who showed up Saturday, including Rao. Got to meet in person. My brother showed up. Big shout out to everybody who was in DC this weekend, and Patreon members. You'll get to see that video not too long from now. So make sure you do sign up for our Patreon and be among the first, if not the only, to see the Remix All-Star gathering that took place Saturday. Big shout out, Elon Peace, Kai. Shout out to Kai. Shout out to BAP, CMB, all the good folks, AAPRP, all the good folks that we saw. Paka was in the building, of course. Had a good time this weekend. Got to hang out with the crew a little bit. There was a little travesty with the spades table, but we'll have to talk about that another time. I'm not going to ruin this already disastrous Monday morning with more. But, yeah. Big shout out to everybody who was there this weekend. Had a really good time. Got to see a really good conversation between my brother and Kamau. Among many others. My man Parrish was in the building. Mama's Biscuits were live and direct. And it was a little go-go controversy. We had to put Ear Doctor in his place. He was talking that trash in D.C. In D.C. Ricky was in the building. Peace. So, yeah, it was an incredible weekend. Right on. Had a very good time. So big shout out to everybody who came through and made that happen, and looking forward to many more. All right, so there's a number of things to get to this morning. I'm going to get right to the topic, and then got a little bit on some buying power. I think I'll do a little, not a movie review per se, but an encouragement. I saw a really good movie yesterday, of course, on the suggestion of Mtume. And stay tuned for some, speaking of Mtume, listen, there are millions of reasons why you should support this platform's Patreon and be a subscriber and do all the things to help it grow. Among them, there is still some forthcoming. So, for instance, one of the goals that I've always had for this platform is, and I did say I was going to get right to the topic, and I'm not doing it, so I apologize. But one of the goals I had, at least, that I was always wanting to promote, not alone, by the way, but was always a goal of mine, was that we promote. Like I would like for us to eventually have correspondence all over the world, all over the diaspora, where we have at this point, well, Black liberation media journalists, documentarians. So I would like for us to evolve to the extent possible, the revenue to do that. We have already supported a forthcoming documentary centering Cuba. Shout out to Musa and that whole crew. But I've also had in the back of my mind this fantasy that we might get into a little bit of film. And building over the last year or so with Mtume is there's some tributaries opening up here. And I think he in particular, but with certainly as much support as I can offer, there's something, so stay tuned. I think we're on to something here. So definitely stay tuned for that. But I did want to start with this issue because I saw the announcement the other day and then wanted to look into it a little bit more. This announcement of this lawsuit featuring the RIAA, or the Recording Industry Artists Association, which is the lobbying group that represents all the three dominant record distributors and their subsidiary labels, Warner Music Group, Sony, and UMG. And as you heard, so we've been dabbling with the AI around here. We still have the invitation for artists to take over. But even as you heard my intro, I said in my intro that that I created using Udio, that it sounds like a Pete Rock track. And that's what drew me to it immediately, and why I selected it from those that were produced by that web platform. Well, Udio and another similar platform are the targets of this lawsuit, and we'll get into the details in a moment. Primarily because it's argued that they are copying the existing catalog of the RIAA and these outfits. Now, well, I'll start this way. So I first came across really paying attention to the RIAA like 20, I guess it's like almost 20 years ago at this point, when I was first going into my graduate work. And then eventually with I Mix What I Like, a mixtape manifesto, I looked into them because of their impact on the music industry, their management of the music industry, their use of law, intellectual property right and copyright law, which is a subsidiary of intellectual property law, to manage popular culture, to create dominant narratives, to manipulate through the curation of messaging and symbols, targeting to 12 to 18-year-olds, the future political landscape, or what of those young people, or what they would think would be possible. So in that work, I was trying to connect it to internal colonialism theory, to the broader state apparatus, intelligence agencies attempt to manipulate mass media and popular culture, the organizations of corporations to work as the anonymous yet overt legalized structure that performs that duty. And then within all of that is the RIAA, which at the time when I was looking at, were targeting through copyright law mixtape vendors, among others, and encouraging that mixtape vendors, mostly poor inner city Black youth, to be targeted by police and as criminals. One of my points is that part of this, the goal here is not just to, of course, protect artists and their art, which corporations are now owning and manipulating and benefiting most from, but it's the immaterial, unspoken, implicit, covert need to, again, manage what is popular and then what politics are contained therein. So I'll just share this portion from I Mix What I Like, where I was looking into this, and the then Erwin Chemerinsky, who was the CEO or spokesperson at the time, and I was trying to make this point that they were trying to criminalize mixtapes as the DEA had been criminalizing drugs. So in an important exchange in Mixtape Inc., RIAA spokesman Erwin Chemerinsky attempts to parrot popular and false notions that protection of copyright ultimately serves society by offering enough fiduciary reward to artists, who are then encouraged to reward the rest of us with their art. If they do not get paid, as the argument goes, they won't create and we all suffer. While he is there to promote this form of disingenuous propaganda, we must remember that such indefensible ideas are promoted to A, disguise the fact that few artists own their copyright and even fewer engage in the production of art for money, which has never been a primary impetus for creative individuals. B, disguise the fact that ownership of copyrights are mostly held by the RIAA, was formed to, that are mostly held by those the RIAA was formed to protect, namely the major labels and not the artists themselves. And we're seeing that right now with this lawsuit that we're about to look into. And C, to disguise the fact that copyright laws or the larger body of intellectual property laws remain essential to managing who becomes popular and to whom the bulk of financial benefits go. And finally, D, to disguise that this is essential to the maintenance of power and that limiting the ability of oppressed communities to engage in unsanctioned communication is a paramount concern for those in power. Mixtapes represent one of the various mechanisms that might be well suited to the unsanctioned communication, and therefore it must be targeted, is ultimately my point. And I would say that even with the move away from analog, physical mixtapes, CDs, etc., to the digital world, the issue and the problem for those in power remains the same. All right. So that was that. Just that little bit of a preface. So I want to share a piece of this video here.
All three major
from time to time. Rick Beato is apparently a legendary music producer and seems have a lot of knowledge and be well versed in this, and has a lot of very interesting conversations about contemporary music and his history of the music industry. This is what he had to say about this most recent case.
It just came out. All three major labels are suing AI startups for copyright infringement. Universal Music Group, Sony Music, and Warner Music are suing Suno and Udio for copyright infringement because guess what? They're using all their music to train these AI models. Well, of course they are. How else are they going to train it? Now, companies like Universal are not doing it for the good of their music to protect their copyright owners. What's going on here is they just announced that they're partnering with a company called SoundLab to make AI models of their artists for themselves. They can use this SoundLab plugin in Pro Tools or Logic, and you can sing your own voice and replace it with one of their artists like Drake or Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish, or whoever agrees to this. And I guarantee you all these labels are going to do that because they want to own the AI versions of these songs. Whether you create it or whether they create it, they're going to own it. And just to show you how easy it is to model someone's voice with AI, I'm speaking to you through a voice modeling program called 11 Labs that was trained on my voice over a 4-week period. So for those of you that keep writing to me every day, I get about 20 of these a day.
So, okay, so quick summary there, and you see a little bit of what the problem is or could be potentially going forward. And I thought that his demonstration in his video, sort of real time, of AI duplicating his voice almost perfectly is pretty deep. All right, so just to look a little more at the story. I did not like a RIAA level investigation into the subject, but I did look into a little bit here that we can review. Double XL, AI company behind Metro Boomin, BBL Drizzy, Drake sued by major record labels. So you know what? Let me come back to that in a second. So that's actually what started some of this, that the beef between Drake and Kendrick, beginning with, so Metro Boomin samples this song, King Wilonius, BBL Drizzy, which is itself a creation by AI. There is no original soulful song sampled here to perform this.
BBL Drizzy, BBL Drizzy, I'm going in, no diddy.
I'm going in, no diddy. Oh man. All right. So that's what that was. Udio, which again I used to make my latest intro, the AI company behind Metro Boomin's BBL Drizzy Drake diss track has been sued by major labels and the RIAA for alleged copyright infringement. Again, Sony, Warner, and Universal Music Group are the major plaintiffs. And the argument is, and we're going to look at another article too, but the argument again is that the full catalog that now exists on these digital platforms is easily accessible and duplicated. So the owners of that, which again are usually not the artists, these record labels are now trying to make sure that no one else can benefit in any way without their permission. All right. So the CEO from Suno, Mike Schulman, claims that the record labels are relying on old lawyer-led playbook instead of having a discussion with the company in a statement obtained by Music Business Worldwide. Suno's mission is to make it possible for everyone to make music, Schulman said. Our technology is transformative. It is designed to generate completely new outputs, not to memorize and regurgitate pre-existing content. That is why we don't allow user prompts that reference specific artists. The RIAA fires back. If there's any takeaway from UDO's meandering response, it is that UDO is attempting to construct an alternate reality where being pro-artist means stealing artists' work for profit. The statement begins. Now, this is, of course, all kinds of pots calling kettles, all kinds of things, where the RIAA is itself claiming to be defending artists and be pro-artists, while maybe not, quote unquote, stealing their work, but certainly capturing it, benefiting most from it, manipulating it for their own profit. And I think, as I mentioned a moment ago, political purposes as well beyond that, which is even a greater profit of sorts. RIAA then called out UDO for admitting they copied music. There's one surprising note of agreement. UDO now seems to admit their model copied a large collection of recorded music. That's a startling admission of illegal and unethical conduct, and they should be held accountable. All right. So that's at least part of the back and forth between all of the companies involved. I'll share this other article. I think all of these are already linked in the show description, by the way. Citing en masse copyright infringement, the RIAA and labels sue UDO. I keep wanting to say UDO, the company behind the hit track, and Suno, an AI music company with Microsoft partnership. I did read some of the complaint here. This is the complaint where you see, it's just, I didn't see anything that was not summarized accurately. Here we go. On my notes, there they are. The two AI companies, Suno and UDO, use text prompts to churn out original songs. Both companies have enjoyed a level of success. Suno is available for use in Microsoft Copilot through a partnership with the tech giant. UDO was used to create BBL Drizzy, one of the more notable examples of AI music going viral. These are straightforward cases of copyright infringement involving unlicensed copying of sound recordings on a massive scale. Suno and UDO are attempting to hide the full scope of their infringement rather than putting their services on a sound and lawful footing, RIAA Chief Legal Officer Ken Doroshow said in a press release. Suno claimed that its method is confidential business information, but apparently they and UDO would more or less claim that, acknowledge that they were using AI to get the basic sounds from existing copyrighted material. All right. And yeah. All right. So I did look up an interview with Mitch Glazer, who is the current CEO of the RIAA, and who, when I looked him up on Wikipedia, came, has a pretty textbook academic career, lobbying, working for the RIAA in a number of, as promoting their policy efforts in Congress and beyond for a long time, and was finally promoted. And I just thought it would be good to see just a little bit of how he's arguing.
Thanks for having me.
So make your case that these two AI music companies violated copyright law.
Pretty easy case to make. They copied basically the entire history of recorded music. They stored it,
which you now own. So I think, again, so I think it's important. I do think it's important to note that he's acknowledging that he and his organization preside over the ownership of that so-called entire history of recorded music. That's what he's, so that was just one thing I liked.
By, matching it to prompts so that they rejiggered the ones and zeros. And, basically they took chicken and made chicken salad and then said they don't have to pay for the chickens.
Right. Well.
All right. So that's one part I wanted to look at. He comes back later in this interview. Again, the whole interview with The Verge is, I believe that's The Verge, is Hard Fork is the name of the YouTube channel. But that was his initial claim. He comes back to say this when asked, as you'll see, about sampling, which I thought was equally telling.
Yeah. My understanding is that it's actually gotten much more difficult and expensive to sample lately than it used to be, in ways that I don't really like. I'd probably like to see more sampling than we do, but it seems like something changed around the time that the song Blurred Lines came out, and now all of a sudden everybody has to, even just a whisper of familiarity. Is there anything sort of in whatever led to that situation that you expect you'll bring to this lawsuit?
Well, I think sampling is actually a pretty good example, because samples are licensed today and there's plenty of sampling going on. Now, does it mean that anybody can sample anything they want without permission? No. Do we have to have clearance departments that go out, whether you're talking about, a video or a movie or another song, and get those rights, especially from, publishers and prior artists? Yes, you do. That's called ownership. And you actually get to control your own art and what you do, and it's not a simple process all the time. It takes work.
So I just like that. I just like those two little parts, because he's acknowledging we own all the recorded music in the world, and because we own it, we will let you, when we want you to, sample a little bit of it for pay at our discretion. So this idea that somehow someone else is only looking to take advantage of artists for profit is nonsense. To sort of also look, so that's, beyond that, The Verge does report, to go back to what was being raised by in that initial clip from Rick Beato, about one of the reasons why this lawsuit is happening, or is because the record labels have their own plans to engage AI. And of course, as we just saw, have their own plans to maintain ownership of the art that they have captured from artists who engage in relationships with them via recording, and then get caught up contractually in 360 degrees to basically have percentages of everything that they make going to those record labels, anything related to their brand going to those labels. And again, it's just 3 with really just 2, really just 1 Universal Music Group being truly dominant in that space. But ultimately 3 corporations that are, again, as I remind, are subsidiaries of larger international conglomerates and private equity groups that have their tentacles all over the place. So I won't go through all of that again now, but that should always be reminded is being part of the problem. But similar to what Rick Beato was saying, that in this story here, Google is taking a permission first approach as labels and artists sue other AI music companies. After debuting a generative AI feature last year that produces music in the style of famous artists like Charlie XCX, John Legend, and T-Pain, YouTube is now asking major record labels to allow it to clone more musicians. According to the Financial Times, the Google-owned video platform is offering to pay Universal Music Group, Sony Music Entertainment, and Warner Records lump sums of cash in exchange for licensing their songs to legally train its AI music tools. News of these discussions comes days after the RIAA, representing record labels like Sony, Warner, and Universal, filed separate copyright infringement lawsuits against 2 of the top companies in generative AI music. The labels allege that outputs from Suno and Udio are produced using unlicensed copying of sound recordings on a massive scale, with the RIAA seeking damages up to $150,000 per infringement. So again, when I saw this story pop up, I thought, yeah, this is deep, and this is one of the and I don't know to what extent it is going to be or is being popularly discussed, but to me, it was one of the more interesting and deeper aspects of the beef between Drake and Kendrick that obviously, like many other issues, will get glossed over or ignored because of the popularity and of the spectacle. But here we are in the background. As a result of this beef, we have a new wave of the redirection or the assurance that the music industry, I wanted to say the colonization of music, but I that's not my preferred, because in the context of colonization, everything that happens is going to be so it's not the colonization of music, it's that it's the music produced by colonized people is therefore by definition a product of that colonization. So it's already done. But this is just a reminder, I think, of that reality, that those in power have, again, said through their organized mechanisms of lobbying and lawyers and corporations and conglomerates and et cetera, have said, no, there will be no unsanctioned communication here. There will be no unsanctioned use of our captured product that we capture and produce and manufacture and distribute for a particular purpose. We can't allow for quote unquote new technology or any new efforts to upset that reality. So whether we're going from mixtapes to YouTube or YouTube to AI, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The structure will reorganize itself out of necessity. So that's, and yeah, so that's all I had for that. That's what I had for that. Yep, that's what I had for that. I did see one question, but if you have any questions for this before we move on, please recycle them. Chitty Mach is asking, have you done a reading series on this book like you did with the MOBP? No. You're talking about the I Mix What I Like, a mixtape manifesto. I haven't, and I don't know. The only reason I hesitate to do it is that I am not. It's. I've talked about this before. I'm proud of the book. I love the book. I'm proud of what I was trying to do with the book. It is not what, it's not in the form that I would have wanted it to be in. So I hesitate to go back and look closely at it in that way, other than maybe, I don't know, but maybe I would do it just to tease out some of the arguments, which I think are relevant and still. And Ricky, I appreciate that you've always championed that work. I appreciate it. I struggle with it, but yeah, my man Poncho. So, okay. So the handful of supporters are in the building. I appreciate it. And Poncho has done some great work on this similarly. So yeah. All right, maybe, all right, maybe, okay, maybe. No, I appreciate that, Ricky, Bill, everybody. Yeah. I am proud of the book. I do like what I was trying to do, but I would like to have, anyway, but we'll see. Okay. I appreciate that. TMB, what are independent music sites like SoundCloud saying about the lawsuit? You know what? I haven't seen that yet. I have to admit, I haven't seen anything from, exactly. I haven't seen anything from what they've said, so that would be interesting. I'll continue to look into this and see if anything like that comes, if they get into the game here. But yeah, and one of the things that I did appreciate that I remember, learning a lot about, and what would actually be interesting about doing that I Mix What I Like sort of review again would be, there are some sources I wouldn't mind digging back out. There was a Marxist analysis of copyright that I remember reading that I thought that I didn't do too much with, that I thought was brilliant. I would love to look that back up again. But it was similar. It introduced me to the world of intellectual property. And then what I did just find recently, so part of what I was doing with my mixtape radio project at that time was looking at its relationship to intellectual property. And I even had my mixtape case, so to speak, taken up by the intellectual property clinic or the copyright clinic at George Washington University. I think it was George Washington. And these brilliant, at the time, future lawyers who were working as part of their law school assignment in that clinic took my free mix radio mixtape project and plugged it into the legal world of intellectual property and copyright, which is a subset of that world. And it was fascinating to me. So maybe we could revisit some of that too. I mean, I thought it was really interesting to see, first of all, how big intellectual property rights are as an industry, so to speak, and the revenue they generate in terms of financial wealth for those who own them. But then what I was more interested in is the power it gives, again, over narrative and popularity that they have, because they can legally control, basically, and that's what I think is happening here. They can basically capture and legally control the entire public sphere. And that's what I think they're ultimately looking to do. It's the concern of unsanctioned communication. Yes, as far as I know, I am still working at Morgan. The checks have not stopped. The healthcare is still turned on. So as far as I know, I'm still there. And I'm still teaching 4 classes a semester, as will be the case this fall. Oh, is it? Okay, my bad. Okay. So I'll do the review. Yeah. Yeah, like JP Morgan said himself, competition is a sin. Capitalists are not interested in competition. I wonder why there isn't more openly licensed hip hop. I'm not sure, Blood Honey, if I understand the question, but what the record labels are saying is they will license recorded music, you're just going to pay for it because they own it already. All right. Okay. Let's do a quick break and come back and look at just a little bit of some misreading of McKinsey and buying power real quick.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.
All right, everybody. So I do keep my buying power Google alerts on, and am still writing this chapter, which is oof. And I saw this story from the other day. Grambling. Let me make it a little. Then the thing. Anyway. Grambling State News, Bridging the Wealth Gap, Grambling State University alumni leading the charge. In a time when economic disparities are stark and initiatives such as the Fearless Fund are receiving judicial pushback, driving initiatives to reduce wealth gaps in underserved communities is more critical now than ever. NOLA in Color, a bold new intellectual and cultural movement led by Color Group and Captivate Marketing Group, is set to address the pressing issue on July 4th, bringing together influential leaders from across the nation who dare to disrupt in a big way in pursuit of a more equitable nation and culture. Organized in, the history of Grambling State, organized in 1896 by a group of Black farmers, Grambling State University is an HBCU steeped in Black culture and tradition with a rich history of nurturing the intellectual stimulation of aspiring academics who were then rejected based on race by predominantly white institutions. So these Grambling alumni have come together to, you know what I'm just realizing, and I apologize, everybody. I did not complete my look into exactly what this group is doing. I got caught up in their claims reported here. But so I have to do a part 2 on this group, or maybe we'll pick it up with EYL or something. NOLA in Color is timely, happening a month shy of what would be the 100th birthday of author James Baldwin at the iconic Baldwin and Company bookstore in the Big Easy, during a time when Black-owned businesses have seen a whopping 30% exponential growth since the COVID-19 pandemic. Additionally, America's Black population has increased from 36.2 million in 2000 to 46.8 million in 2019, according to the U.S. Census. However, despite these gains, Black consumers remain underserved. However, new research from McKinsey shows that enhancing access to tailored goods and services could generate $300 billion annually. The short of it is, in fact, what they're calling new research from McKinsey is several years old. And as I'll show you, we've already covered it here a few years ago, and the inaccuracies in it. But the idea that the divide, or gap as they call it, in terms of Black-white wealth can be bridged by businesses targeting Black consumers, or in this case, Black businesses targeting Black consumers who studies show are apparently more interested in and willing to, as we'll see from McKinsey's claim, shift roughly 30% of their spending power, or $300 billion, to those businesses. That's not understanding how wealth is created or how gaps, as they're called, would be closed. NOLA in Color aims to boost networking among Black-owned businesses, raise awareness of Black buying power, and increase financial literacy to help close the racial wealth gap. So these are all the new, like, for me, the new buzz, like, that is really the new, that's like the new buzzword collabo. Buying power. And so, but I thought it was culture. Now this says color. I thought it is color. NOLA color, but NOLA culture is the t-shirt that shows up when I do the search. So I'm gonna have to okay. I'm gonna have to get into this a little bit. My bad on that part. I'll show you we'll look at that in a second, in fact. But the more important point is that this idea that enhancing access to tailored goods and services could generate $300 billion annually is reported in this is another perfect example of the problem with buying power in the black press. Another black press, or that is black, meaning black owned or black targeting press, is telling black audiences, is misrepresenting McKinsey's already flawed research to say that generating $300 billion annually is the outcome of enhancing access to tailored goods targeting black people, but generating $300 billion for whom? It's promoted here as if that is something that is going to be generated for black businesses, with the idea that this will trickle down to the black community, or worse, it's being encouraged that readers say that 300 billion will be generated just generally for black people, because the next sentence ends with this fantasy of closing the racial wealth gap. So as I'll show you, or though we've already looked at it, when we look at the McKinsey report, we'll see what's wrong. So this is okay, but this, I just pulled this up here. NOLA in color. This is what's coming to New Orleans July 4th. Dope thinkers only. Captivate Market Group. Captivate Market Group. My bad. I should have done this. I did not do this because I got caught back up in reading that and going back into the McKinsey report, which I'll pull up here in a second. Who is this? Who's in the about page here? Oh, so they just want you to tell. They want us to tell them about ourselves. Color Group is a trusted partner, impact diverse perspectives, drive business revenue. But who are you? Okay, so I guess that's just the Grambling brothers. That's who that is. All right. So then who is Captivate Marketing Group? Certified minority women-owned business enterprise, live event, business model, make the job easy. All right. Sizzle reel. Let's see. So who? Our team. Okay. Okay. So we have, okay, so I get it. We have a marketing group working with a black owned business that is itself meant to promote black owned businesses, that is referencing McKinsey, former Essence. Okay. So it's definitely black women. I see a lot of Essence magazine, CBS, Forbes. Oh, these are who recognized her projects. Okay, so she's worked with Volkswagen, Moet, Budweiser, Lowe's. Okay. So okay. In a rushed, it looks like okay, a black owned business and black owned business promoters who are themselves black owned business are using McKinsey. That is the McKinsey studies. Now, by the way, so to claim that their business and their collaboration is going to close the racial wealth divide, because if you target black people with tailored products and promotions, they will shift their money. The article in question that I looked at didn't initially, from about the Grambling story, did not have a source link. So it just said McKinsey study. This new study from McKinsey says something about $300 billion. Now, so I'm happy if they or anyone wants to somehow call me out on this, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is the story in question, which, again, at least some of you, only the realist, the real, the faithful. I mix what I like. No, I'm just playing. But some of you at least remember, and I believe this is one of the articles I cited in the second edition, that talks about a $300 billion opportunity serving the emerging Black American consumer. This is from August of 2021. So not entirely new, but the Black households do have lower income and wealth. Now I'm choosing to start there, but despite being 13.44% of the U.S. population, Black households accounted for just under 10% of the nation's total spending on goods and services in 2019. Because Black workers bring home smaller paychecks, they have less money to work with every month, especially after accounting for debt. I love how, again, this is where, again, right, I used to want to start doing this buying power stuff because people always start with the reality. Look, I know it's bad, but nonetheless, companies that interpret this data as proof that there's little profit in serving Black consumers are making a big mistake. Now, remember, all right, I'll come back to that. We estimate that companies filling these needs could tap into $300 billion of value annually. Now, how do they reach these conclusions? They surveyed 25,000 Americans about their views on economic opportunity, because beneath the sobering realities of actual economic data is a market with substantial buying power and influence and plenty upside for the future. In 2019, consumer expenditures by Black households totaled approximately $835 billion. Combined spending by all Black households has increased 5% annually over the past 2 decades. It has outpaced the growth rate of combined spending by white households, driven mostly by faster population growth. And as we just saw in the previous article, Black people have increased their population in this country. But how they, and I know I did a better, more thorough job of this when we first went over this, but this is, but they use sort of wild methods to conclude what they conclude. So they'll say, because there are more Black people in the country, by definition, they have more to spend. Therefore, by definition, despite not having a lot of money and their incomes being low and their wealth being low, they have a lot of money to spend. Their buying power is increasing. So if so despite living in food deserts and having hard time finding because of supermarket redlining, if you can produce food targeting Black consumers, you will have people ready to buy, because there's an issue with housing for Black people. If you produce low-income rental properties or housing that targeting Black, there will be Black people who will need at least a place to live. Black Americans are nearly 2.4 times more likely than whites to live in a neighborhood with limited healthcare options. So the importance of healthcare access is important. So if you can provide services, in other words, same thing with broadband access. 50% Black households Black households are 50% more likely than white households to live in areas with limited broadband. So what is the conclusion? Companies serving these consumers therefore need to design digital experiences and interfaces accordingly, because if you do, our analysis of the survey results not economic data, not income, not wealth, not disparity, not access to capital, not white supremacy, not whatever. Survey results. Our analysis of survey results suggests that Black consumers are willing to shift approximately $260 billion, about 30% of their current aggregate spending, to companies that can better serve what they need. They'll even pay up to 1.2 times more on average for offerings that are better suited to their needs and preferences. This could unlock another estimated $25 to $40 billion in net new spending. Together, these two figures add up to $300 billion in unmet demand. This is an invitation for innovative companies to compete and better meet the needs of Black consumers. So this is the kind of wild and insane and bananas approach that gets delivered to Black audiences every day, all the time, constantly, as we just saw yet again this week or last week, saying we're referencing a report that we don't cite. If you happen to find the report, by the time you inform people that it's misunderstood or wrong, the mythology will sink in, and you'll just end up being called a raccoon and or some other derisive name. But the reality is, McKinsey, and this is, again, the link is in the show description. Please, if you haven't, go watch the whistleblower that left that Black wing of McKinsey because he saw that they're playing a game on his community. And he reached out. I read some of the letter he wrote to McKinsey on his way out. And what he was basically saying was what I'm saying here. McKinsey is misrepresenting the data to serve its clients, who are the corporations who hire McKinsey to produce data like this that will help them better distribute their ad revenue, and then help mislead us by telling us that there's this untapped market, and if we had better financial literacy, we can get a piece of that as well. We could make better use of it, or from that last group or two groups who were collaborating on the 4th of July, Black groups will now say, Black businesses can then say, we can tap into that as well. And what all are missing is that it's not real economic power. It's just moving what Black people have to spend or are forced to spend or spend in credit and go into debt to buy, to get a little bit of that for yourself. And that is, but it does nothing to benefit the collective. In fact, it only harms the collective with this madness about financial literacy, et cetera, and so forth. So just as I was preparing for today's show, I got sent a few more examples that fit into this. So I'll just play them. And then if you have comments, questions, queries, conundrums, catechisms, consternation, contemplation, just start to recycle it back up and I'll see if I can get to it. But so this was sent. This is, I'm not even sure exactly who this is, but what I did like was that somebody who sent this to me, because somebody tagged me. It was like, yeah, please look at his work. But anyway, let's look.
Biggest loss that Black entrepreneurs as a whole experience is allowing our $1.3 trillion in spending power to be a blank check for other communities to sign. Now, people always ask me if I had $1 million, what type of business I would start. And I always tell them I will open a fast food delivery service, right? Chinese fast food delivery service. And people will ask me, Keys, can you fry rice? No, I can't. You know, can you roll a wonton? No, I can't do that. Last time I was in the kitchen, I almost burned it down, right? But then no one questions when you go into a Black community, right? And the person selling you the Remy, the do-rag, right? The hair grease has never parted kinky curly hair a day in their life. There are people who take advantage, right, of opportunities in Black spaces and Black communities where our $1.3 trillion flows, and we don't see that opportunity. If you look at studies, what you'll see is the types of businesses that we start: waste remediation, social services, admin services. You cannot draw a direct line to where a majority of our dollars are spent. The beauty industry, insecticides, laundry detergent, contraceptives, y'all out there keeping it safe, right? So if we're going to spend the money, then I think we need to start the businesses that can capitalize off of those assets. It's not power if we use it making everyone else rich but ourselves.
I mean, that's really wild. So again, there's smatterings of reality there. Yeah, Black businesses are not in dominant sectors of the economy. By the way, that's also true for most non-Black businesses. So the idea that Black people are going to be able to do with the particular relationship Black people have to this society, what other mostly white and whoever else cannot do is not the buying power. Please, I just one time wish somebody would say where. Oh, and look at this. I'm gonna call him out. Is DJ RBI in the building? Because you are on here as no, I'm just playing. I'm just messing with it. But it does say you follow this channel. So I'm like, what is the value of this channel that has 1.1 million Naspora.co? What is this? We made buying Black a thing, an e-marketplace marketing agency voice for Black business. WeBuyBlack.com. You know what? Didn't I do a show with that group one time about this? I feel like I met the folks at WeBuyBlack.com, somebody representing them. But yeah, so but again, she doesn't. But she doesn't take the some of the smatterings of accuracy and build from them accurately. So where would Black businesses get the startup and expansion capital to serve in these other areas? She herself is saying, I want to deliver Chinese food. The idea that if we have Black ownership of Chinese restaurants in Black communities, that's going to turn into Black communal wealth. I mean, again, remember who's being served in those communities: poor Black people. Remember, what amounts of wealth do you imagine these Chinese owners of these Chinese restaurants are taking home if their customer base are poor Black people? And they already got support from their nation, from the federal government here, in ways that Black people don't get to start those businesses in the first place. How much wealth do you think is being created here? And then how does that get distributed back to the rest of the poor Black community? And then why aren't we again engaging in a conversation about it shouldn't matter who owns the Chinese food restaurant if the wealth created is based on people from the community spending money there? The exchange creates the wealth. There should be policy that assures that wealth is redistributed. And again, not just these Chinese restaurants, because they're not making that much money. I'm talking about that should occur nationally through all the money that's spent, whether it's at Amazon, Google, Microsoft, whoever, all the way down to the local Chinese spot in the hood. Timothy Connerson, shout out to you. You sent me that last one. So someone, okay, here's another one I got sent on now, and this is perfect because we just again demolished this myth Friday on EYL, talking about Ebony and Luis's new book. But
dollar in the Jewish community turns over 12 times before it ever leaves. In the Indian community, 10 times. In the African American community, less than 1.
This says wait a minute. This says the black dollar circuit. This says the source is Princeton.edu. That's not a source. That's not a link. Where on Princeton's website do they talk about the circulation of dollars on the university website? Dollar circulation. Let's see. Well, let me finish this. Let me let this play. Hold
As
on.
it lands, you can't wait to take the money and spend it somewhere else. The dollar in the Jewish community turns over 12 times before it ever leaves. In the Indian community, 10 times. In the African American community, less than 1. As it lands, you can't wait to take the money and spend it somewhere else. The dollar in the Jewish community turns over 12 times before it ever leaves. In the Indian community, 10 times. In the African American community, less than 1. As it lands, you can't wait to take the money and spend it somewhere else.
Okay, I found it. Okay, so they did it. So they don't give you the full, but if you do search Princeton's website, you do find this. Remembering the Tulsa Race Massacre, African American Studies, Princeton University. Hold up now, Colin Riggins in the Department of African American Studies from June 1st, 2022. I think Princeton invited 2 Black up there to speak? I know they did not invite me, but they need to invite somebody, or maybe they'll invite Louise and Ebony, who debunked this. By 1921, so we got the problem deepens. By 1921, a dollar spent in Greenwood circulated 36 to 100 times before ever leaving the community, compared to today, where a dollar lasts around 6 hours in Black communities on average. This figure was simply revolutionary. There's no citation here. Oh, there is a citation here. Atlanta Black Star. From December of 2014 in Christina Montford's article, 6 interesting things you didn't know about Black Wall Street. Hold on. Where is the money stayed inside the community? The dollar circulated 36 to 100 times in this tight-knit community, according to San Francisco Bayview.com. This is deep. Princeton, not the top of the Ivy League, publishing unsupported data, citing articles in Atlanta Black Star from 2014 that is itself citing an article from San Francisco Bayview with no data. It circulate in a month in Asian communities and Jewish communities for 20 days, white communities for 17. They got it down to a science. But again, there's no link. So I gotta go find, let's go sfbayview.com. Circulating dollar. This is wild. That's wild. I can't even blame Instagram and social media if Princeton let's see, there's that 1.3 trillion buying power joint. Let's see, where's the circulating? If dollars were recirculated, blah blah blah, circulate, join roof the dollar stamp, circulate Black dollars in Black communities, 26 bit circulate Black. Where's the claim about how many times it turns over? Wow. And I'm just guessing that this is just one of because who knows what. Wow. All right. Well, that is a mess. And I would have loved to blame it on Instagram. But so yeah, I hope Princeton is inviting 2 Black and his co-author. I'm hoping that they'll at least read that section of Ebony and Luis's book that we covered the other day on EYL about where they show how Barbara Stevens, right? That was her name, right? She even misrepresented her own, what she had written in her own book. because Two Black, I remember we went over that here, and I know I can't remember how. I don't think did he write about that in Laundering? No, I can't remember. Now I can't remember if he no, it's Beverly, right? Not Barbara. No. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Where is that part of the book? No, I can't find the part of the book. That's a mess. But okay. All right. Well, let me see if I can circulating money. But yeah, so anyway, that's I hope that they would I hope Princeton invites to the table Louise and Ebony or Two Black to talk about the circulating dollar. Now I can't find where I could. Barbara. So that doesn't come up. Her name wasn't Stevenson. What was her name again? Stevens. The chat probably already answered it. No, it wasn't Barbara and Beverly Smith. I think you messing with me now. Let me see. Try this again. Stevens. Why can't I find? All right, I'll just have to come back to it. But the point is, how is this not even turning that up? All right, I think there's something wrong with the search option in my Kindle. Because it's not even that word should have come up. And it's not showing up in the highlights. That's gonna bother me. But okay, I think that part was. Oh yeah. No, I'm up. Well, I'm up early all the time, but especially today. We had an airport run today, so Barbara Streisand. Yeah, so too bad with Princeton there. All right, one more thing, somewhat related. I just saw somebody just showed me this. This is why I was hating on that movie, because this is what they're doing. Now we got Adidas is making a Bob Marley sneaker to commemorate the 72. They're working with the Bob Marley estate, the first official sneaker release with the late reggae legend. Part of Adidas' summer lineup. So I'm just. It would be nice if we could have but anyway, my point is that this is what films like that One Love lead to. They don't lead to some sort of revolutionary understanding or of Bob. So, all right, the last thing I'm going to say, and then unless you have any comments, questions, or whatever, so Mtume, we were talking about this potential, this great thing that I think is happening. And he said, I took it as a homework assignment to go watch this film Hunger from 2008, starring Michael Fassbender and directed by Steve McQueen. So I did yesterday. And as I said there, it's brutal and amazing. I want to encourage folks to see this film. It's based on a true story. It is based on, it takes place in the early 80s around the so-called Troubles and Irish liberation. It is not an easy watch. It is brutal. It is very difficult to watch. I felt it to be very difficult to watch, but I think it's an amazing film. the use of sound, the use of scene, the use of no dialogue to convey everything was brilliant. The way they approach the delivery of political ideas, the way they approach the necessity of organization and unsanctioned communication, the way they demonstrate the power of the state and the value of resistance, I thought was brilliant. And Fassbender is, I've thought of this, I don't know, I saw him in a couple other things. I think he is easily among my top in terms of this generation's act, whatever generation he's in. I think he's an amazing actor, and he did an incredible job in this film. So I would highly, especially just coming off of reference to that One Love Bob Marley film, trash that. This is a film about, Fassbender plays Bobby Sands, the true real life figure, but it would be hard to say it's about him in that way. It is not some biopic, it's not some, it is, oh no. Is he? Oh, damn. Really? Damn. Please be wrong about that. I can handle somebody said he's a little crazy, but is he really though? Damn. I'm gonna have to look into that. And I hope I can prove Blood Honey wrong, because yeah. Art film, whatever. It's just a good film. It's a damn good film. Who said, but I hope, man. Which colonizer I got? Well, I gotta go with at this point, I gotta go with France and Mbappe, because, and I know it's no revolutionary act, but if he is going to continue to be a public thorn in the side of Marie Le Pen and the French right wing, I'm not mad at that. I'm happy about that. And she was up there complaining again about how black the French national team is. So I kind of, on the strength of that, now I kind of want them to win even more. I don't know. It's a total contradiction. It's a mess. It's a mess. But you're right. Which colonizer is it? Damn. Jab, what were the index cards you bought for your kids to learn about politics? Quentin, I didn't buy nothing, my man. I made those index cards. And I got the idea from brother Aize Sabater, a teacher in DC. Admittedly, we don't agree on the value of private and public charter schools, but that disagreement notwithstanding, brother Aize is a good dude, and he gave me this idea when I used to pass through some of the workshops he taught when I was still living in DC. So I just went and bought a bunch of index cards, printed out the picture of someone on one side, and then put some basic facts about their history and politics on the back. And one of my favorite things to create, including the board game I created for my kids. The video's out there somewhere too. The sovereignty board game. I thought I'm not too a little bit proud of those contributions too. So yeah, it was a good way to introduce youngsters, to at least some of, I did read the comments out loud, Dr. Bruh. What comment I didn't read? But I'm still waiting to see more about Fassbender's abuse record. Man. Have I watched the French film Outside the Law about Algerians in Paris during the liberation struggle? No, I didn't. And Tume told me he's going to send me or show me where I can find a copy of Operation Ogro about one of the Spanish resistance efforts. Yeah, we just got to get Tume to give us he's got to publish like a full film list, and we just have to go through the whole joint, you know. But yeah. But okay, listen, everybody, I really appreciate you coming through this morning. Please do like, share, subscribe, support our Patreon, all the links in the show description. Again, big shout out to everybody who we got to build with this weekend. It was a great weekend. It's not ogre. Yipper, you got to come out to one of these live events one day. You got to put the face on the troll. I'll Google it. Damn, I'll Google it. God damn. I should have known anybody I like. Something like that. Something like that. When will the remix be uploaded to Remix Live? Be uploaded to Patreon? African Period. I appreciate you being here this morning and asking that question. I do not know. That is above my pay grade. That is at the most elite level of the Ear Doctor and Kamau. It is that collabo that's going to have to put that together. So I apologize for not having more news on that. But yeah. I appreciate you, Total Revolution. Informational as always. Dr. Ball, your students are lucky. They don't always agree with it. No, I'm just playing. They don't fully appreciate. No, actually a good number of them do. So shout out to them as well. All right, good people. Please do all the things to support the platform, and definitely, I don't know what's coming up today, if anything, but have the bell rung so you don't miss anything. And just in general.
But this particular situation, out of many situations that I didn't hate, I'm gonna have to hate until further notice.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be hating until further notice. But not on the forthcoming productions here on the platform. So make sure you have the bell rung so you don't miss anything. Oh, I'm definitely forgetting. Where are my notes? Did I write it down? Nope, I got everything. So I guess whatever I'm forgetting didn't get written down, and that's the problem. So peace, unless you're willing. Oh, not unless. Peace only if you're willing to fight for it. As Fred Hampton used to say, I will catch you next time here.
I mix what I like, what I like. Mix what I like is I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.
What do you sacrifice?
Calm, kindness, kinship, love. I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts. I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago for which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight, have set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, there's no longer any ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy. burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. Now, the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. So what do I sacrifice? Everything, 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 everything.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.